The year was 1971, or maybe 1972. The exact date doesn't matter. What matters is the moment, and how quickly 8 seconds can shatter an illusion that took years to build. The gym was not fancy. It was not clean. It was raw. Iron plates stacked in corners. Chalk dust floating through thick, warm air. Mirrors smudged with sweat and fingerprints. The kind of place where men came to lift heavy things and leave heavier. In body, in ego, in the belief that size was the ultimate answer. The walls echoed with the sound of metal clanking against metal. Grunts, heavy breathing, the occasional burst of laughter. This was a temple of muscle, a place where strength was measured in pounds and inches, where bigger meant better, where dominance was loud, visible, undeniable. And into this temple walked Bruce Lee, quietly. No entourage, no announcement, no fanfare. He wore simple training clothes, a plain shirt, loose pants, worn shoes. His frame was lean, compact, almost delicate compared to the towering physiques around him. He looked like someone who had wandered into the wrong room. But if you watched closely, and most didn't, you would see something different in the way he moved. Each step was balanced, each breath controlled. He didn't walk like someone trying to take up space. He walked like someone who didn't need to. He found a quiet corner near the back, set down a small bag, stretched slowly, methodically, as if the noise and chaos of the gym had no effect on him, as if the entire room had disappeared and only he remained. His movements were fluid, precise. There was no wasted energy, no tension, just control. And across the room, someone noticed. A man, a bodybuilder, 250 pounds of muscle, thick arms, a neck like a tree trunk. The kind of physique that turned heads, the kind of presence that commanded respect, or at least demanded it. He was mid-set, curling a heavy barbell, when he glanced over and saw Bruce shadowboxing lightly in the corner. At first, he just watched, curious, maybe a little amused. Bruce's movements were fast but relaxed. His punches snapped through the air with a sound that shouldn't have come from a frame that size. His footwork was smooth, almost dance-like. He moved like water, shifting, flowing, adapting. The bodybuilder set down his barbell, wiped his hands on a towel, smiled. Not a cruel smile. Not yet. Just dismissive. The kind of smile that says, "That's cute." He walked over, slowly, confidently, his massive frame casting a shadow over Bruce's corner. "You're too small to move like that," the bodybuilder said, his voice loud enough to carry across the gym. A few heads turned. Bruce didn't stop. He finished his combination, exhaled, and turned calmly to face the man. No anger, no defensiveness, just presence. "Small," Bruce repeated softly, as if testing the word. The bodybuilder nodded, arms crossed over his chest. "Yeah, small. I mean, look at you." He gestured at Bruce's frame, then at his own. "Muscles matter in the real world, man. Speed's nice. Technique's nice. But when it comes down to it, size wins." A few lifters nearby paused their sets. Someone chuckled. The energy in the room shifted slightly, not hostile, but expectant. Waiting. Bruce looked at the bodybuilder for a long moment. Not challenging, not submissive, just seeing him. "Size can help," Bruce said quietly, his voice calm and even. "But only if it knows where to go." The bodybuilder's smile widened. He took a step closer. "Want to test that?" Bruce paused. He glanced around the gym. Men were watching now, pretending not to. The air felt thicker. The moment hung there, suspended, like a breath before a dive. Then Bruce nodded. "Once. No competition," he said. "Just 8 seconds." The bodybuilder laughed. 8 seconds? That's it. That's all it takes," Bruce replied. The bodybuilder shrugged, still smiling. "All right. Let's see what you got, little man." A small circle formed around them. Not loud, not aggressive, just curious. Gym culture had its own language, and everyone understood what was happening. A test, a demonstration, a collision between two different philosophies. The bodybuilder squared up, rolling his shoulders, flexing his fingers. He looked confident, comfortable. He'd been in confrontations before. He knew his size intimidated people. He knew most men hesitated when faced with that much mass. Bruce stood relaxed, hands loose at his sides, feet shoulder-width apart. His breathing was steady. His eyes were calm. The contrast was uncomfortable. The gym grew quieter, not because someone demanded silence, but because everyone sensed something irreversible was about to happen. The bodybuilder shifted his weight, preparing to grab, to push, to overwhelm. Bruce didn't move. Not yet. If this story is making you think differently about strength, leave a comment below. What's one belief about power you've had to unlearn? Time slowed. Not in a poetic way, not in a movie way, but in the way it does when the brain realizes something important is about to happen and scrambles to record every detail. The bodybuilder moved first. He stepped forward, reaching out with one massive arm, intending to grab Bruce's shoulder. A simple move, the kind that always worked. Size plus momentum equals control. But Bruce was already moving. Second one. Bruce stepped in, not fast in a flashy way, but sudden, like a door closing, like a light switching off. The bodybuilder's hand reached empty air. Second two. Bruce's hand made contact with the bodybuilder's wrist, not gripping, just redirecting. A slight angle shift, minimal force, but the big man's balance stuttered. His body, trained to push forward, suddenly had nothing to push against. Confusion flickered across his face. Second three. Bruce pivoted. His footwork was invisible to most watching. One moment he was in front, the next he was beside. The bodybuilder tried to adjust, tried to turn, but his own mass became a disadvantage. Momentum carried him slightly off-center. Second four. The bodybuilder stumbled. Not hard, not dramatically, but enough. Enough to realize he wasn't in control. His arms reached out instinctively, trying to regain balance, trying to find Bruce. But Bruce was no longer where he expected. Second five. Bruce moved again. Smooth. Economical. He didn't strike. He didn't need to. Instead, he used the bodybuilder's own movement, his own strength, against him. A hand on the elbow. A subtle shift of weight. The kind of technique that takes years to understand and seconds to execute. Second six. The bodybuilder's arm locked, not from force, but from position. His own muscle, his own tension, trapped him. Pain shot through his shoulder. Not injury, just pressure. Precise, controlled, unmistakable. His eyes widened. Second seven. Bruce applied just enough pressure. Not to harm, not to humiliate, just to communicate. This is where you are. This is where I am. This is what control means. The bodybuilder's breath caught. His free hand reached out, not to fight, but to signal. Second eight. Stop. The word came out sharp, urgent. Then, quieter, almost a whisper, please. Bruce released instantly. No hesitation, no gloating, no prolonged hold to prove a point. He simply let go and stepped back. The bodybuilder stumbled forward slightly, catching himself. He stood there, breathing hard, his massive chest heaving. Not from exertion, from realization. He looked at his arm, flexed his shoulder carefully. Nothing damaged, nothing broken, but something inside him had shifted. He looked at Bruce, really looked at him. And for the first time, he didn't see someone small. He saw someone complete. The gym was silent. No one clapped. No one cheered. No one spoke. Bruce adjusted his shirt, nodded once, respectfully, not triumphantly, and walked back to his corner. He picked up his bag, bowed slightly to no one in particular, and resumed his training as if nothing had happened. The bodybuilder stood there for a moment longer. His friends approached, asking if he was okay, replaying what they'd just seen. But he didn't respond. He just watched Bruce move, those same fluid, precise movements that had seemed so insignificant 10 minutes ago. Now they looked different. Now they looked like truth. Slowly, the gym returned to its rhythm. Weights clanked. Conversations resumed. But the energy had changed. Something unspoken had been acknowledged. If you felt something shift in this moment, hit that like button. Not for us, but as a reminder to yourself that real power is quiet. The bodybuilder eventually went back to his workout, but he trained differently. Slower, quieter, more thoughtful. He didn't talk as much, didn't flex as much, didn't need to, because he'd learned something in 8 seconds that most people spend a lifetime avoiding. Strength without awareness is just noise. Power without discipline is fragile. Ego without humility is a house built on sand. Bruce didn't defeat the man. He didn't humiliate him. He didn't prove superiority. He simply revealed reality. And reality, when it arrives suddenly, is impossible to ignore. Let's pause here, because the story isn't really about Bruce Lee. Not entirely. It's about the illusion we all carry, the belief that dominance comes from volume. That power must be visible. that respect must be demanded. We live in a world that worships size. Bigger houses, louder voices, more followers, more muscle, more presence. And somewhere along the way, we confuse size with substance. We forgot that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. We forgot that true control doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Bruce Lee understood something that most of us spend our entire lives struggling to learn. Mastery isn't about proving you can. It's about knowing you don't have to. Think about it. The bodybuilder walked into that moment with years of conditioning, years of being told that his size made him superior, that his muscles equaled dominance, that his physical presence was his greatest asset. And in 8 seconds, all of that collapsed. Not because Bruce was cruel, not because Bruce wanted to humiliate him, but because Bruce simply was, fully, completely, without pretense. There's a concept in martial arts called Wu Wei. It's often translated as effortless action or non-doing. But it's deeper than that. It means acting in alignment with reality. Not forcing, not resisting, just responding with precision to what is. Bruce didn't fight the bodybuilder's strength. He used it. He didn't oppose the man's size. He redirected it. And in doing so, he demonstrated something profound. The less you need to prove, the more powerful you become. This is the lesson most of us never learn. We spend our lives shouting into the void, trying to convince others and ourselves that we matter, that we're strong, that we're worthy. We accumulate credentials, possessions, muscles, followers, anything that might signal value. But deep down, we know that none of it means anything if it's not rooted in something real. Bruce didn't need to be loud because his skill was undeniable. He didn't need to be big because his technique was efficient. He didn't need to be aggressive because his control was absolute. And when the bodybuilder finally understood that, when he felt it in his bones, he didn't feel defeated. He felt awakened. That's the difference between ego and mastery. Ego needs to win. Mastery only needs to be. Ego needs witnesses. Mastery is content in solitude. Ego demands validation. Mastery offers it. The bodybuilder left that gym changed. Not broken, not humiliated, but humbled in the best possible way. He had been given a gift, the gift of seeing past his own illusions. And Bruce? Bruce left exactly as he entered, quietly, unnoticed by many, unforgettable to a few, because that's how real power moves through the world. It doesn't storm in. It doesn't demand attention. It simply shows up, does what needs to be done, and disappears before the applause begins. So here's the question this story leaves us with. When someone underestimates you, when they look at your size, your age, your background, your credentials, and decide you don't matter, what do you do? Do you rush to prove them wrong? Do you shout louder, push harder, demand to be seen? Or are you disciplined enough to let precision speak for you? Are you confident enough to let your actions be your argument? Are you secure enough to walk away without needing their validation? Because the truth is this: people who truly understand power don't waste it on proving points. They reserve it for moments that matter. They move with intention, not impulse. They respond with clarity, not emotion. And when it's over, when the 8 seconds pass and the dust settles, they don't linger in the spotlight. They return to their work. Because the work is the point, not the recognition, not the applause, not the story people tell afterward. The work. Bruce Lee trained every day, not for moments like this, but because the discipline itself was the reward. The bodybuilder learned that muscle without purpose is just decoration. And somewhere, in some gym, right now, someone is learning that same lesson. Maybe it's you. If you're someone who values quiet strength over loud ego, subscribe, because that's exactly who this channel is for. Not for people chasing hype, for people chasing truth. The gym eventually closed that night. The lights went out. The weights went silent. But the lesson remained, etched into the memory of everyone who witnessed it, and whispered through the years as a reminder. Real power doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs 8 seconds. And the discipline to walk away when they're over.